Today I'm really excited to do a video, like a bed tour, because I have so much going on in my garden that it's hard to show everything all at once. But this is kind of my brassica bed, and this is the most exciting bed that I have in my opinion. So a little bit of a backstory: I haven't been gardening for very long. All of a sudden I just exploded into having a really green thumb. I don't understand why, but I think honestly the reason that I've suddenly got really good at growing plants is that I do a lot of research. So anything that interests me, I'll just Google it, or I'll watch loads of YouTube videos and learn a lot that way, and then your plants will just thank you for it immensely. So I'm going to start my tour with one of my absolute favorite plants in the garden. This is something I've never grown before. It's called a Kalette, and obviously the foliage is just stunning. There's another one over there. But basically this is a cross between kale and a Brussels sprout. So you get the little kale balls forming in the crust of the leaves coming out from the stem. So I'll keep you updated on how that grows, but in the meantime I have been taking some of the small leaves and just eating them as greens in soups and stir fries. They're absolutely delicious to do that with. So in the rest of the bed we've got beans over here, which are producing nicely. With beans, it's important to keep picking them when they're big enough so that the plant doesn't have the chance to mature properly. And it will just keep producing until the frost comes, which should be pretty soon. There's a nice one there. And these are delicious. They're just great to just munch on raw. I tried to climb some butter beans up that pole, but beans do not climb wooden poles by themselves, guys. PSA. But those butter beans are really delicious, and I don't think there's any there that I can show you right now. But yeah, no beans on it right now. Oh, that would have been nice to show you. Oh well. I also have purple beans, purple dwarf beans in there. And there's another Kalette, which is less purple, but still beautiful. So during my research that I've been doing all the time on my plants, I have found out that it's a really good thing to do to cut old plants off at the soil level and let their roots decompose in the soil, because that's such a good form of nutrition for the soil. And so what I did when I moved into this house, there was some broccoli here with beautiful big heads on them, and I cut them off at the soil, but I'm not too sure what I did wrong, air quotes, wrong, because I don't think anything's a mistake. And also I don't think I did it wrong, because the plants grew back and they actually have been producing broccoli again. And I don't think that it was a mistake to cut them out at the soil level. These plants wanted to grow back. They grew back, and I left probably, I didn't bury the stump with soil or anything like that. I just chopped them off, left a little bit, and then the plant themselves grew back. And I was kind of skeptical, because I thought there's no way they're going to produce broccoli again. I thought I'd just get a bunch of leaves, but like I mentioned, I like to eat the leaves anyway, so I thought some nice tender leaves, that's totally fine. If the plant wants to grow, let it grow. What I didn't expect is that it would grow and produce heads again, and then when you cut the little, they weren't as big, to be fair, as the big one, as the first ones, but you cut that off and it is creating side shoots. So from a plant that was done, cut it off at the roots, it grew back and gave me a second crop, and I am just so in love with that idea. I think it's absolutely incredible, even though when I cut those off at the base, I didn't expect them to grow back, and so I have planted everything quite close together now, but that's okay, because the frosts are coming, and having lots of foliage like this is actually a really good protector for your plants to keep them a bit warmer. So as well as the beans and the Kalettes, the broccoli, these two plants here, these big beautiful babies, were grown from seed. These are sprouting broccoli, and so I cut the main head off, and they will start putting out sprouts. Oh, you can already see it. Wow, that was only a few days ago that I cut the heads off. So they're going to sprout like little broccolinis basically in each of those sections. Here's another one. So really cool plants that will keep producing for you, won't just give you one head of broccoli. Across there, these plants right here, I can't remember if they're Swiss chard or spinach, or silver beet. I never remember the variety and it confuses me, but they're doing absolutely great and we eat so many of those. I have a curly kale in here, but these are the big boys. All of this foliage is 2 radishes. It's 2 radishes. I planted French breakfast radishes, and I tell you right now, this is not a French breakfast radish. This is a daikon for sure. This is the first daikon that I've ever grown. I can't even impress to you on camera how big this baby is. And then next to it, this is more colored like a French breakfast, but once again, it's massive. Like, it's massive. So I'm really, really excited for these guys, and I'm going to be doing a pickle out of them. So I'll do a video on that harvest and pickling them too. I've never made pickles, but this is the first time for everything, and I mean, this is just so cool. And I really like the massive amount of foliage too. It's beautiful. So in this area here, we had a lot of lettuce growing. You can still see it being kind of taken over by those massive radishes. And then this is a cauliflower, so that will get quite big and fill in that area. You can see there's loads of weeds in here, but I planted some little radish seeds, and so I was waiting to see where the radishes would come up before I went ahead and weeded too vigorously. I have a terrible habit of planting seeds just because I want to pop, especially radishes, I like to pop them in the gaps, and then I forget that I put them there, and I go ahead and weed out a whole bunch of weeds and then realize that I have just pulled out the seeds that I've sown. And so that has encouraged me to form a new habit of not weeding until the little seedlings are grown up enough that I can identify which is which. And it's pretty easy once you grow a few plants and get to know them a bit better. This is a serious garden hazard, is drinking coffee in the garden because I just had a nice sip of soil. Thank you for watching my brassica bed tour. Well, there's other things that aren't brassicas in here, but brassicas are my favorite. I've never really grown them before, and they're just stunning. They're great to look at. They're beautiful with raindrops on them, and tasty to eat the leaves, and they grow in such an awesome manner that it's just so exciting to me. These are definitely my favorite food crops in the garden right now, and autumn planting is really doing it for me. I'm really enjoying everything to do with it. So it will be interesting to see how these plants fare when the frost comes, and I'll probably do a post-hard frost video or kind of a more wintry tour so that you can see what's doing really well and what's not. I feel like these big guys are going to do well. They're established enough that I don't think frost will really affect them too much.